tell me your name and then just go into the first sighting, the date, location, time, and all that, and then what happened.
My name is Jeannie Maes. I live in Michigan, Lower Michigan. When I was 13, my cousin and I went for a walk across a big hayfield. And we got into a wood line and we were walking towards the river. Sitting sitting on a huge boulder was this huge hairy creature. It had its back to us when we seen it. It was a reddish brown, huge. The shoulders were huge. It was like two grown men if they would have been sitting side by side. It was that big. But it was sitting there on this huge boulder, just rocking back and forth, almost like it was in pain or grieving or something. But when we realized it wasn't a bear, or that's the only option it could have been a bear, but there was no way. No way it was a bear. It was way too big. And when it was sitting on that boulder, and that boulder had to be 4 foot high, and its feet were planted flat on the ground, and his knees were, he was comfortable sitting there, put it that way.
Yeah.
We we just turned around and ran back. We back to the house. We didn't tell anybody what we'd seen because who's going to believe a couple kids telling a story? But we never went back across that field towards the river again.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. How far away was it from you guys?
We probably got within, oh God, I don't know, 50 yards of it before we realized it was there
And this was in the woods.
in the woods near a river.
Hmm. Was it, what was between you and it?
Just timbers, just big maples and oak trees.
Hmm. Was it shaded or was there sunshine?
It was shaded. It was during the summer, and it was a heavy, dense wood, and it would no, it was sitting in the shade.
Did you guys say anything when you first saw it?
When we first seen it, we were both quiet for a couple seconds, and then we both looked at each other like, "What are we looking at? What is that?" And we didn't say another word. We just turned around and ran, and when we got back to the house, we made a pact to each other that we weren't gonna tell anybody what we'd seen because nobody would believe us, so
Yeah. Um, is your friend still alive?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. I wonder if she would let me interview her as well.
I don't know if she would or not.
Okay. I always
I
I like to get both witnesses because it helps, with the story. But we don't have to. But if it works out, that's great. Um, when you
I'll
saw
ask
the,
her.
okay, when you saw the creature and its back was to you, can you describe the way it looked more detail that you can remember?
Very muscular. It was very muscular. You could make out the muscle tone in its shoulders and down its back. It didn't have very long hair. It was shorter hair.
Mhm.
and it was a brownish red.
Mhm. And what about the head and neck?
The neck was short, had a short neck, and it kinda had its head bent forward when it was sitting there rocking, but when it must have heard us when we stopped, because we both were like, kinda sound, and it lifted its head up, and it's hard to d almost like a not shaped like a human, it was more of a cone
Mhm.
shape.
Yeah. Yeah, that's common. Um, did it ever turn and look at you?
Don't know. Don't know. When we turned around and ran back to the house, we didn't look back. We didn't wanna know if it was chasing us or we just wanted to get out of there. We were
Yeah.
young kids and we were scared.
Yeah, I can imagine. Um, so how long was the entire sighting?
Probably a minute.
And when
And
you said it was sorry, go ahead.
we didn't wanna stick around long.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't either. When you said it was rocking on the rock, can you describe how it was rocking?
It looked like the way his shoulders um, were he was leaning forward, almost like he had his arms resting on his legs or something,
Mhm.
and it was just rocking back and forth like this, like it was in pain or something.
Okay, I see. So back and
Yeah,
forward,
back forth, yes.
not side to side.
No, nope.
Like, okay. Um, one thing I was thinking about with that, you said you mentioned the shoulders and the head and neck. Did you see any ears on top of the head?
I cannot recall seeing ears.
Ears at all? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Well, that's good. 50 yards is about a half a football field. It's a pretty good distance. If the
yep,
creature's pretty big, you could still see some. If it was a bear, bears have big ears. I mean,
yeah,
obvious ears. You would see those, I would think. And he said it had shoulders. Am I right? Like a man?
yeah, yeah, they were it was so wide, it looked like it would have been 2 men sitting there side by side as wide as this thing was.
Hmm. Yeah, that kind of rules out bear too, because bears don't have any shoulders. They just from their
No,
neck down, it just goes straight down. Basically, they don't have
yep,
clavicles. We have clavicles, we have shoulders. Bears don't. So, seeing the wide shoulders, very wide, also indicates Bigfoot. And where was this again? Rough,
in a
rough.
little in a little town called Marion.
Marion, and it
Yep,
was it in a park or somebody's private
it
property?
private property.
Okay, so Marion's that's good enough. And tell me again, what year was this? Say
Um, 1973.
73. And what time of year was it?
It was probably July.
Yeah, hot out.
Yeah,
And this was in the daytime, late the day, early morning. What time of day was it?
early afternoon.
Early afternoon. And you see, never told anybody. Did you eventually tell somebody later on in life?
Yeah, yeah, when I started, researching Bigfoot and start talking to people about Bigfoot, that is when I started talking about it.
Yeah. Is it because you felt safer talking to people that believe?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. We find that a lot. And now it's more acceptable too to come out And then you said you had a second sighting.
Yes. Yeah. And no, that one was 5 years ago.
Okay, so that's more recent.
Yes. Yes. I was in the UP with an old friend, and he and I were walking down a path, and something caught my attention out of the corner of my eye. He kept on walking. I stopped and just stood there looking straight ahead for a second, and I thought I saw movement. In the area that we were in, there are a lot of wild game. So I slowly turned my head to look, and I saw something slowly rising up behind a tree. And I thought, that ain't a moose. There's no way that's a moose. And then I'm standing there watching. I finally got enough senses to myself. I got my phone out where I could take pictures. And
Oh,
I just snapped a couple quick pictures, and I actually had it analyzed by 2 different organizations, and they said they ran it through all their hardware or their computers and all the hardware they have and everything, and they said that whatever it is, they could not identify it as one of the animals that are known in the UP.
that's exciting. And I'm assuming you still have those pictures, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would, of course, I'm going to ask if you can send them to me a copy, and I could put them in this video here, and maybe let people look at them if you wouldn't mind. It's up to you.
Um, I have I have not released them to anybody.
It's
Oh,
totally.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
understand.
I'll
What I'll tell you what I can do. One, we don't even have to do it. Two, you could put if you actually, it's legal, you just put the copyright symbol in your name on those pictures. If, so in other words, if you send them to me, I'll put that on the pictures for you, so nobody could take those pictures, and
Oh, okay.
we could put it in the video, um, and that kind of protects you if you want.
Yeah, because that was my fear, somebody stealing the pictures. That's the only reason I haven't shared them on any of my social
Yeah,
networks or nothing.
yeah, I understand it. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll put the copyright on them, your name, put them in the video, and then in the YouTube video itself, I'm gonna just make sure people know these are copyrighted images. You're not to use them without your permission. So it'll be abundantly clear that they can't take them.
Yeah, and they're pretty distinct pictures, so yeah.
Oh, good. That's exciting. Um, how far away was it from you?
Oh my goodness, it was really close. Um, oh gosh, probably 20 feet. It
Yeah,
was real close.
yeah, that's very close. And when it started to stand up, what did you do?
I got excited. I wanted to stand there and take more pictures. I kind of froze at first because I'm thinking, "What am I looking at?" And I just snapped a couple quick pictures, but the guy that was with me, he panicked, he freaked out, and he started yelling and grabbed my arm and jerked me out of there. And I
Oh,
wanted to get more pictures.
wow. So he saw it too?
Yeah, Yeah.
What did he think it was?
He
Or she? Sorry.
yeah, no, it was a he.
Oh,
Didn't he had no clue what he thought it was. He
did
didn't
he,
have a clue.
what about later? What did he say later?
Well, I initially told him, I said, "That had to be a Bigfoot because it wasn't a bear or a moose or any other big mammal that might be in the area."
Right.
And he looked at me and goes, "Yeah, you're right, it could have been," but he did not want to admit that he was probably looking at a Bigfoot.
Yeah. What did it look like?
It was behind trees, and all I saw was, like, from the center of its face and down, like, it most of its body was hidden, but it looked li it's hard to describe what I seen. It was a cone head again. It looked like it came to a point, and then, very tall because it was standing on a ridge going down to the river, and it looked like it may have been coming up the ridge, and then it heard us, and it I don't know if it got curious or if it was trying to hide and he was curious trying to see what we were doing, but it was tall, had long hair, long reddish brown hair. It had more red in it.
Mhm.
But in the picture, you can make out an eye and part of its nose.
Mhm. Did you see any other parts of it besides the face and head?
One shoulder, but this one looked like it was a lot smaller than the first one that I've seen. The shoulders, it, the one shoulder that I've seen looked kind of small.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
just, it looked more petite, put it that way, than the first one I've seen.
Okay. And then the face. How long did you look at it?
Oh gosh, I stood there looking at it for a couple good minutes, if not longer. The face, eh, it had long hair. The hair was even over part of its face. So I couldn't make out the mouth because it had long hair coming down over its mouth,
Mhm.
but you can the eyes were big and set back in.
Mhm. What could you tell the color of the eyes?
They were dark. They
Dark.
were dark.
Could you see a nose?
No, I could not make out a nose.
What about a mouth?
Nope, it was covered with long hair.
Yeah.
It looked weird, it just had real long hair. I've
Mhm.
never seen or heard anybody talk about a Bigfoot having hair like this before.
I've I've heard them. I've got a report in Kentucky, in Bullitt County, Kentucky. It was a sheriff deputy, and when he was a young boy, uh, every Easter he would go with his family up the ridge behind their house, the old homestead, and they would pick flowers for Easter. And they went up there. The entire family walked up the ridge, and this Bigfoot jumped out from behind a boulder, and it yelled at him, screamed at him, and of course they all fled. And it chased them down the ridge all the way back to their house. And the sheriff said I fell a couple times, and my mom scooped me up, and Um, but when they saw the creature, it had long reddish brown hair hanging in his face.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That
Same
makes
thing.
me feel better.
Yeah, same story. The hair was hanging in his face, and long, really long reddish brown hair. So, and I'm curious if the ones like that are, and you said it's more petite, like the shoulder was more petite. I wonder if that
Yeah.
was maybe like a female or a young one, or I don't know. I just
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I've been wanting to get back up in that area. I wanted to get back up there because when I was there, it was late fall. I mean, all the leaves were up to trees. It was so cold that I had on my winter parka and everything.
oh,
And I forgot what I was going to say, but
well,
it was I lost train of thought. It was late fall, and I don't know if it was trying to get fish out of the river or
you know,
what it
could
could have been doing.
could have been when you were walking with your friend. Was he standing next to you, or did you say he walked ahead?
He walked ahead. He
How,
he just kept going, and then when he realized I stopped, he came back
and and why did you stop there?
because I saw the movement out of the corner of my eye, and I
Okay,
wanted to see what I seen moving.
right. And when you said it kind of stood up, and that's when you saw the face and the shoulder.
Yeah, yep.
Did it appear to you like it was trying to hide, or was it trying to show itself?
It I got the impression that it was trying to hide, but it peeked around that tree just enough. I think he heard a I'm saying he, but I think it heard us talking and it was curious and wanted to see where we were.
Mhm.
And that's when I got the pictures.
I'm curious. Were you, because you stopped and you saw movement? Most people, when they're walking in the woods, walk too fast and they don't pay attention to their surroundings. And were you looking for a Bigfoot? Were you on high alert at that time?
No, no,
No.
the area that we were in, I never expected to see anything like that in the
Okay.
area that we were in
Yeah. So you,
because it's a very public area and there
uh,
is people in and out there all the time.
yeah.
But being late fall, that's what I was going to say. It was late fall, and there was no way I could have gotten back up there right away to go and look for hair samples or anything. But I wanted to get back up there because I know it's the exact spot where I've seen it, and I want to go back and try to figure out how tall this thing was. At least find that out.
Yeah. I mean, 5 years it's not too long. The trees could be there still. I mean, they grow, but it would be neat to go back and maybe have a friend go with you and stand where the Bigfoot stood. And then you can also measure the distance from you to where it was. That's just as important.
Yep.
And then you could kind of gauge the height of it. Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, yep. I'm gonna try to get back up there this summer and do that.
With both of your sightings, was there anything else like any smells, any sounds?
The first one, we could smell it. There was a definite odor of a combination of dirty wet dog and dead fish. is what it smelt like. As far away as we were from it, we could still smell it.
Yeah.
But the second one, I don't remember smelling anything or
What you know what's interesting about your first one? It makes sense because you smelled it. You were downwind, right? Is it downwind? I might have it backwards. In other words, that his smell or her smell was coming to you.
yeah,
And that's why probably the one on the boulder didn't turn around and look at you because he never smelled you because the wind was coming towards you in your face.
yep, yep.
So that makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah, otherwise, if he would have got our scent, probably would have been gone and we never would have seen it.
right, he would have. Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of times they don't want to be seen, and they're pretty good at hiding. Although obviously they slip up because we have so many sightings. Um, so even though they're highly intelligent, they do mess up sometimes. And I've had many people come up really close to them. There's another one in Kentucky. A young boy walked out to his barn to get on an ATV, and he was really quiet, didn't say a word, had his dog with him. And middle of the day, goes out to the barn, and the barn had dirt floors, so there's no wood. And he goes and gets on the ATV, and he hears a sound, and he looks through the cracks of the wall, and he sees a big hairy creature standing in one of the open stalls, not too far from him, with its back to him. And it was tall. It was playing with an empty tobacco can because you can hear it, messing with it. And the boy um, let out a gasp, and he covered his. No, sorry, he didn't let out a gasp. He held his breath. That's what it was. He said he took a big breath and he held his breath, so he never made any noise. And that Bigfoot never turned around, but he could watch it through the cracks. It had leaves in its hair, and his little dog. He looked down, and his dog had already run back to the house. And he said, "My dog would want to go with me," and the dog knew something was up and took off. So the boy jumped off and ran in the house, told his mom, and the mom comes out, and of course the Bigfoot's gone. But the boy swears it was had shoulders, it was tall, it wasn't a bear. He swears it wasn't a horse or anything like that. It looked big and hairy and had leaves in it. But the Bigfoot never turned around. And again, sometimes they could be maybe older, preoccupied. They could be upwind. I know I don't know why I can't get that straight. Usually they smell you, they hear you, but the boy was real quiet. So, um, it's sometimes their senses don't help them as much as they should help them, but because we do get close to them sometimes without them knowing it. Um, but it is rare. I mean, usually they're good at hiding and staying away from us.
Yeah, definitely. I found a print about no, it's been longer than that, probably 4 years ago. I was out helping my son cut firewood. Well, he does not believe in Bigfoot. I'm a paranormal investigator too, and he thinks I'm totally nuts. So I'm out in the woods with him, and we're clear back where most people can't get back into. They're cutting the wood, and I went for a walk. Now the ground is all hard clay. We probably had rain, probably a week before we had been back there. And I'm walking through the woods, just taking pictures and looking around, and I found a print. I wear a size 8.5 work boot, and I put my foot next to that print, and it was more than twice the length of my foot.
Wow.
I took I took one quick picture of it because if I would have told my son what I found, he would have thought it was crazy,
Yeah.
but this print was probably an inch deep down in that clay.
Wow. Did it have toes?
It did. It
Wow.
did.
That would have been a good one to cast.
I know. I was thinking about that the other day, and I didn't have any of my equipment with me or anything. And
Yeah. It's usually the case. I've been hiking miles back and I don't want to carry the plaster because it's heavy.
yep,
And I find a good print and then, again, have miles to come out, and then there's always something like a thunderstorm or something comes up, and I've missed quite a few tracks. Now your phone has that LiDAR. You can take your phone. I know Apple phone
yep,
has it. They have all these apps, and you can scan it. So your phone is very useful when you do Bigfoot research now. You can
yep,
do audio, video, of course, pictures, and then also now you can use LiDAR to get the track and make a 3D image. And I'm pretty sure you can take that 3D image, then put it in a 3D printer and actually make you a nice track.
yep, yep. As a matter of fact, I just downloaded the LiDAR camera on my phone a couple months ago.
Good. Yeah. And we don't, you, I don't come, you don't come across tracks often. Most of the time it's, like I say, it's pareidolia. It's just, water runoff or an old boot print, or it's very hard to find good tracks.
Yep, it is.
Well, was there anything else you wanted to add about your sightings?
I can't think of anything else.
Well, yeah, you did a really good job covering those. Do you feel after your sightings, did it change your life any kind of emotions?
Not really. I was excited that I got to see them, and it just gave me that urge to go out and look for more. And every chance I get, I'm doing research. And the only thing that ever really bothered me was the dog man. That one scared me, but
Yeah,
Bigfoot, no.
yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. And up there in Michigan, you got both. You've got Dogman and Bigfoot.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to tell you this too. We will be up there at a Bigfoot conference this year. I'll let you know when it is here if I could find it. Um, Let me see. I'll be up there speaking with Dr. Jeff Meldrum and Renee from Finding Bigfoot.
Okay.
And it is, let's see. Oh, there it is. It's October 12th. October 12th. It's called the Bigfoot Bash Festival.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think I know where that is.
Oscoda.
Okay. Yep.
You know where
Yep.
Oscoda is?
Yep.
So yeah, October 12th. You can Google it and find out information about it. But that's a really good festival because Meldrum is, well respected. So is Renee.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, and I'll be there too, and I'll share some more of my research. Um, well, I appreciate you talking to me in short notice. Those pictures, if you don't care to, I'll give you my email address, and I promise you, you have my word, I'm not going to release them. I'll put your copyright name on them. I'll put them in the video, and then again, I'll make sure everybody's fair warned not to touch those. That's exciting. I'm excited to see those. And what I'll do here, I'll cut that part out because I'll edit this like I said. And
Yeah.
so what I'll just do is I'll say our goodbyes, and so I'll cut that part out and go right to our goodbyes. So
Okay.
I wanted to
I'm a good
thank you.
one.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And your story, like I tell everybody, when you come forward with stories like that, it encourages other people to come forward, especially in your area. If people hear about these locations and the dates, they might say, hey, I was in that same area around the same time frame, and they might feel compelled to come forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So again, I appreciate it. And if you have any questions at all, I'll edit this and, like I said, send you a copy. You can look at it, and then just feel free to contact us.
Yeah, maybe sometime I can get down that way and maybe we can all get together and do an investigation together or something.
Yeah, we have multiple expeditions down here. We have
Okay.
large ones, small ones. Just keep following us on Facebook.
Yeah, I will, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you again. Have a nice night,
Thank you.
and I'm sure we'll see each other maybe in Michigan.
Yeah, I'll make plans on going.
Okay. All right. Have a
Okay.
nice night. Good night.
You too.